Hello everyone and welcome back to the second video in this series, which is all about the development of our indie game called Moonlight Maze. As always, I'm Gar, and as always we are joined by the spiritual form of our programmer, since he's not here in the physical form, Sherbil, who's the programmer working with us on this project. So for now, we wanted to focus on, after having the game jam version out, there's a lot of people who tried it, we got a lot of valuable feedback, and now we want to build on it. So we don't want to make it entirely, basically yes, it is a puzzle game, but how do you go from one area to do puzzle to another? We wanted to create something like a world map. At the beginning we thought, hey, let's do a 2D world map, but then we realized, hey, why not, let's just make a full explorable small open world, you can even say that. But yeah, it's a small chunk of area where the player can go around and explore the environments, talk to NPCs, enter small mini cities, and just by talking to the NPCs, hopefully you would know more about the lore of this world and what has happened and what are these puzzles, why do you have to do them, what's the objective, right? And our hope is that every single part of the puzzle areas, which you will go and do puzzles there, hopefully there will be a story related to that specific area and what's happening there. So the story as it is right now, the Moonlight Maze is this place, the map that you're seeing now that I'm creating, is a place where it's cursed by eternal mazes. Whatever that means, we have yet to figure out. So, but part of the story takes place with our character called Mushroom Head, who, after going through the first part of the game, which is what you probably played in the game jam, ends up deciding that enough is enough. He's sick of these mazes and he wants to solve every single one of them and basically save the world, save this small world. So I started taking some of the assets that I already had, that I already built before, and try to use them as I don't know if it's called mock-ups, but as level blocking actually. Use them as elements to level block their area and get a good understanding of what specific level goes in which place. For example, the cubes, each one represents something. Everything that's kind of orangey are the boss areas. The purples are what we call the worlds, where you go inside and there's 10 mazes and you have to solve them. There's a mini visual story hidden in this world. So at this point I'm building my level in UE4 using the landscape tool, which is an awesome tool. Instead of doing it in other softwares like Mountain Machine or Blender and then importing it here, Unreal gives me the advantage of just having this tool here, and it's a very, very flexible tool and I can do whatever I want with it. Another thing is I created a material, which is basically blend space material with 3 solid colors, so I can get a basic understanding on where the textures are going to go in this world. Now, one thing that I didn't end up doing is the textures themselves, because I already had a bunch of packs that I had purchased, and there are some textures I know that I really like and I want to use those. So I took advantage and I modified those textures, and eventually we'll be replacing them with these solid colors. And then for our world, we definitely need grass. So here I am in Photoshop making the grass based on a real life texture. So one issue we had midway through development is basically I had a problem with GitHub, and a majority of the work I already done I end up losing. So you see me probably placing the plants in the environment right now and adding a lot of trees everywhere and houses and all of that stuff, but a chunk of it got lost. And what happened was, apparently in GitHub, with every single push you can only push 100 megabytes. So the problem with that is, it turns out that this world map, which I had forgotten to push halfway through, was 260 megabytes, and that was not going to push. So I spent the last 2 days just figuring out, how am I going to push this, how am I going to send this to my friend who's doing the coding. And for the last 2 days it's just fixing problems we caused for ourselves. So thankfully I recovered most of that, except the grass. I have to redo that, so not a problem, as long as we got it working and we're back on track. So this right now you're seeing, the place with the mushroom house, is the starter area, If you play the Game Jam game, you would know at the end of the game, there's the place where the character enters the mushroom house, and this is basically that place. And of course, I'm using just a prototyping an enemy character to actually just maneuver around the environment and get a good feel for it. At this point, it seems like isometric camera, not isometric exactly, a bit top-down camera makes sense, but I'm still gonna experiment with other angles of the camera and see what works best for us. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. For the next one, for the next devlog, we're going to be taking a better look at the world, giving it much more of an identity, adding more details into the environment, building some of the assets for the houses and all of that. I've already designed the puzzles of World 2 on paper and even World 3 on paper, but now I need to implement them in engine and see if they work. We have more mechanics being added than the one that you saw in the Game Jam. There's much more different types of enemies now. There are different types of obstacles. Some you can move, some are static, and it has this nice chemistry of different systems that work all together. So we're gonna taking a much more deeper look on the systems probably next episode or the one after that. But for now, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe or share this video with your friends. Thank you very much.